Welcome to Order Militaris Radio TV, and we're lifelong Catholics. We don't do this all for free, and for love of Jesus Christ, and for Holy Mother, the Church, and we'll defend our Holy Mother, the Church. And we are on day 8 of the Armenian Genocide of Artsakh with Brother Alexis Bonello.
Thank you, AJ, for having me on this very somber series that we're doing to promote the Armenian Refugee Fund, 501c3 dedicated fund exclusively for the Armenian refugees fleeing from the Artsakh Republic. And it's being collected by our corporation, Order Militaris, in Montana, United States. And this is our third fundraiser for the Armenian people. We are an organization dedicated to defending Christians who are persecuted around the world. Though we are run by Catholics, we consider the Armenian people Christian people who need and deserve to be defended. And this is our 8th program, so you can see our past programs. We're the first organization to start fundraising for these refugees, and as far as I know, no one even has a page just for these refugees. And there's a lot of political reasons for that in the Armenian Republic. We won't get into that because we just want to help these people get through the winter, and each of them is going to need about $2,500 of financial support because they need housing, clothing, food. They're not going to have jobs for a couple months at least. And the winter is cold in the high mountains of Armenia. So how many refugees have fled the Artsakh territories, AJ, as far as we know, as of the present hour?
Close to 30,000.
Okay, so that's a quarter of the population. So already the humanitarian need is going to be around $100 million. And are they getting financial aid from overseas? What's come in so far? Or what's been promised so far?
11 million euro from EU. I think either 11 or 15 million from the United States, and France is dedicating 7 million to healthcare needs and stuff.
Okay, so you can see that it is not even a quarter of what is needed. And where are the refugees being settled? I mean, are they being put in nice apartments in downtown Lviv? Or are they downtown Yerevan?
No, they're being put on the outskirts towns of Armenia in little villages, and they're being housed in makeshift refugee camps with tents. And yeah.
So it's not housing they could survive the winter in.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so this is a very serious thing, and until we hear of charities on the ground actually doing something for these people, we can't name them, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know. So this is a horrible event. This is an act of a genocide against Christians, ethnic cleansing. We've already reported in our previous episodes how the Azeris, as soon as they entered the Artsakh territory, began wholesale massacres of the population, killing all the boys and men, raping the women and the girls, beheading all the children in some towns. What more do we know about that, and what has come to light since to shed light on what's going on?
Yeah, so when the cameras are on, they are handing out food stuff, drinks, and whatever else to help them on their way. But once the cameras are turned off and they return to their ugly demonic self and shoot at the vehicles leaving.
There's a report that an Azeri soldier explained what he was doing to the Armenians. You have that testimony. Can you read us the transcript?
Yeah. So this is Faraz Alev En-Nur, a war veteran of Azerbaijan. He cut off the ears of Armenians, divided the bodies into 2 parts, he cut off their heads. Then he brought the ears cut off from the Armenian bodies to his village and gave them to the Azeri people.
And is this talking about the previous wars, or this what he did just in the last few days?
I believe it was the last war.
Last war. So this gives you an idea of what might be happening. So as we reported yesterday, there's memes being shared talking about roasting Armenians' flesh as a barbecue. And there was a horrible explosion in a gas tanker 2 days ago. Hundreds of people injured. What's the update on that, AJ, at Stepanakert?
Yeah, so okay. Sorry, a lot of stuff here. When I got internet back, it's over 100 and so dead, and then I believe it was also they also got 100 of the injured evacuated, and they are allowing helicopters in, Red Cross helicopters and Russian military helicopters to take the serious burn victims to burn hospitals in Yerevan and other parts of Armenia.
Okay, that's positive, though it's really horrible that these people were burnt alive. I saw one social media post where it was claimed that the tanker had a bomb in it. We don't have further information about that. If we do, we'll let you know. So since yesterday morning's report, there's been 24,000 people arrived. So expect that. If you've seen the pictures been shared around the world of the massive traffic jams of Armenians fleeing the Artsakh Republic, we'll probably see another 24,000 today across the border. And that means in then maybe the next 3 days, the entire population will have evacuated. And they did not decide to leave. The EU Commission actually put out a tweet, a public statement, that referred to the Armenians of having decided to leave. And Twitter usually doesn't take a sides on this, but they put a community note on that and said, no, they were forced to. They didn't decide to. And it's outrageous, some of the things that are going on the international level about these people. What's the news on that, AJ?
Yeah, so while the EU is giving, they promised 11 million euros to help these people, they have given Azerbaijan 2 billion euros for economic development.
That was signed off by von der Leyen.
Yep.
The woman is a godless witch. Excuse me for saying that in a fundraising program, but this shows you the leaders of the West are. And Artsakh is a big warning light in the dark of the political night, telling us Christians around the world that if we don't start helping one another, it's going to be like the revolution. If we don't stand together, we'll hang separately. And Azerbaijan says that the Armenians that stay will be fully integrated and be able to live side by side with the Azeris. What do you think that means, AJ?
They'll be either second to third class citizens, or even worse, and not recognized as citizens. It'd be fair game to be hunted by the Azerbaijanis.
The Azerbaijanis say they're going to remove all traces of Armenian occupation in the Artsakh Republic. They've actually started bombarding buildings. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so Azerbaijani occupants are using heavy weapons to shell what is the Armenian Yerevan's Mankats monastery built in 1691 by the Melik princes of Maltika near the village of Tonshin and Artsakh.
And this is a practice that they already have done in other parts of Eastern Armenia. I'm not going to call it Azerbaijan. They'd actually go out and destroy the Christian monuments that have been there for hundreds of thousands of years. The Armenians have been there at least since 5000 BC. So you see any reports claiming that they have been there hundreds of years or 1,400 years, that's just all fake propaganda.
Mm.
And I'm a cultural anthropologist, so I look at the facts. What do we know about the members of the Artsakh military force that didn't surrender?
They are still up in the mountains fighting and trying to draw in Azerbaijanis into take them out one by one to cause severe losses.
Do you know the name of their leader, and has he made any public statements?
I can't pronounce the guy's name, but those who are near him sent out a tweet with his recent comment saying, "Why this has happened to us is that we have forgotten our Christian past, and we have betrayed our spiritual father, Saint Gregory, the Illuminator, and we must seek and ask forgiveness to God for what we have done."
I noticed this in the last 3 years watching the social media tweets of Armenian activists around the world. Almost never mention the name of God. It's pretty much like social media activists in favor of Ukraine. Almost never mention the God and almost never show even a picture of a Christian church. Who they are, I don't know. One said that she was very disappointed in how leaders of the West have responded to allow this genocide. And I don't know how you could be disappointed unless you voted for these people. So that's part of the problem, but it's another sign that only we Christians are going to come to the help of these people.
Mm.
And no one else is going to do it because everyone's trying to beg crumbs from the table of the enemy or the table of the people who the enemies have already fought. So I ask you to, and I implore you to be generous in your support of the Armenian Refugee Fund. If you're Catholic like we are, understand that about a third of the Armenians worldwide are Catholics. So the Armenian people are their first nation to convert en masse to Jesus Christ, and they did that before Constantine legalized the Catholic religion in 304 AD. So we're not talking about, a newly come into existence Christian group. And the Armenian liturgy has been celebrated the same way since that epoch. So we're talking about, if you want to call about traditionalist Christians, the Armenian is about as traditionalist as you can get, one of the oldest churches. And they deserve our help. The Armenians were our great allies in the first crusade. And the Catholic Armenians are all descendants of the House of Kilikia, and one of the princesses of that house married into the Crusader nobility, and her children and grandchildren became the Catholic kings of Jerusalem. So we owe a lot to the Armenian people, and we should have compassion on all Christians who are persecuted out of hatred for Jesus Christ, but especially the Armenian people, who have suffered so much and have so few friends around the world. And I want to thank the 10 supporters of our Armenian Refugee Fund so far who've raised nearly $1,000. More than 100,000 people have seen our appeal, and 10 have stepped forward. So if you want to be among the best of human beings and the best of Christians out there, be one of these handful of people among hundreds of thousands who will support our fund and help these Armenian refugees, because we're in a very dark moment in world history, and Christians everywhere are failing to do their duty. Let's not be of that number. And if you're not Christian, you just feel compassionate for these Armenians who are being ethnically cleansed, know that when we distribute the funds, we're not going to be distributing on a religious basis. We don't, most of these Artsakh refugees are Armenian church. It's not in communion with the Catholic Church, and nevertheless, we'll still help them. And we'll help them even if they're not believers in Christianity, they're just Armenian nationalists or socialists or atheists. We're blind to that. We just want to help them survive the winter. So please like and share this program on all social media platforms. This news is not getting out. You're having crazy news reports come out, like one at The Guardian, not on The Guardian, at a noted English journal the other day, who said it was the end of Nagorno-Karabakh. Well, that almost sounded like the Armenians came back and took it, because they didn't even want to say the word Artsakh. They're being paid not even to say that word, not even to say the word Armenian, and not to say the word Artsakh. So please help all these refugees from Eastern Armenia, and please be generous. I want to thank the one donor who gave $500. So while most of the donors are giving 25 or 50, this one donor deserves praise. I won't say his name because we don't name the contributors to our humanitarian fund. But I'd encourage anyone out there to be just as zealous, especially you Catholic Armenians. You may not have relatives in Armenia because you're from Kilikia, but you share the blood of the Armenian race, and even more than us Roman Catholics, you have an obligation to remember your own and help them. So thank you for this series, AJ. I'll leave the final word to you.
Yep, and hoping the churches in the United States get back for the Armenian Catholic churches, and noticed the one in California of the Holy Cross did see my message, so I'm hoping they will write us back and do something, because if we can get more people to help us raise funds, it would help us get more support for these people.
Oh yes, AJ, the Vatican observer at the UN made a statement, and our order is also going to make a public statement in reply. What was his statement, and what is our statement?
So he's like, the Armenians and the Azerbaijanis should dialogue for peace and understanding, and I was like, I shared that with you, and this is what you put out on, what the order put out on Twitter. You go all the way to the bottom here. Our order distances itself 100% from the recent statements of the Vatican observer at the UN calling for a dialogue between Armenia and her persecutor, who has just murdered thousands of her people and is ethically cleansing the last remnants of the Armenian presence in eastern Armenia.
Yeah, you don't dialogue with someone who's genociding you. And to demand that is the psychology of a pedophile. I'll say no more. It's just totally disgusting. And Ordo Militaris Catholicus, we're run by Catholics. We have no affiliation to the Vatican. We're a civil organization, and we will admit that it's a completely shameful statement. Totally intolerable.
Yep. This is Ordo Militaris Radio TV signing off. Death Volt.
Death Volt.